Hi everyone, welcome you all to my YouTube channel. I am Megha. Today in this video we are going to talk about how the mineral nutrients are uptaken by the plant and then how they are transported throughout the plant body. So this is the fourth video of the chapter Transport in Plants. At the end, I am going to discuss very important question from the examination point. So please watch this video till the end and do not forget to subscribe this channel. Right, so let's begin this chapter and we can say begin this topic, right? We know that the carbon and the oxygen, these two mineral requirements are fulfilled from the carbon dioxide. Okay, so plant take carbon and oxygen from the carbon dioxide which is present in the air. Now beside this, there are many other minerals which are needed by the plant. So how the other minerals are required means how they are taken. We can say they are taken up from the soil. Rest other mineral requirement is fulfilled by the soil. Okay, now the question comes here that whether the minerals are absorbed actively or passively. So the answer is the minerals are absorbed actively as well as passively from the soil. But mostly we can say mostly the ions are absorbed actively. Okay, so let's see this. Suppose this is the root and these are the epidermal cells. The epidermis of root is known as epilemma. Root hair is nothing but the extension of the epidermal cell. Epidermal cell का ही extension होता है. So this is the root hair. Now here certain proteins are there in the membrane. कुछ proteins लगी हुई हैं यहाँ पे. So these proteins are helping in allowing the minerals to enter actively in the root hair, in the epidermal cell actually. So suppose these are the minerals present over here. Let me take another color. So these are the minerals present in the soil. First thing to note here is that these minerals are absorbed in the charge form. Okay, this is very important. They are absorbed in the charge form and mostly the minerals are absorbed actively. They need ATP for this. They need energy. Okay. Now these as the ions are absorbed by the epidermal cell, the concentration of ions actually increases. Okay, जब ions अंदर जा रहे हैं तो ions की concentration increase होगी, ठीक है? So what will happen? The water potential decreases. Okay, water potential will decrease as the ionic concentration is increasing over here. And in the soil, the water potential is more. So from here, from the soil, the water will move passively in the root. ओके तो पहले आयंस एब्जॉर्ब होंगे, उसके पीछे पीछे पानी एब्जॉर्ब होगा. कैसे? पैसिवली. फाइन. नाउ एज दीज मिनरल्स एंड वाटर रीचेस द जाइलम, ये जाइलम है सपोज, दिस जाइलम विल टेक अप द मिनरल एंड वाटर टू द टॉप ऑफ द प्लांट and in this case transpiration pull is helping. Transpiration pull is helping in this case. So from the leaf there are stomata. From the stomata water is moving out and there is a pull is exerted over here due to which the minerals and the water reaches to each and every part of the plant. Fine. Now let's read what is mentioned over here. As I said that the water is absorbed passively. Now if we talk about the minerals, minerals are present in soil as a charged particles. So they are absorbed in the ionic form. Okay. Second thing is that the concentration of minerals in the soil is usually lower. तो क्या कह रहा है कि soil में मिनरल की जो concentration है that is lower as compared to the concentration of soil, concentration of minerals in the root. मिनरल्स की concentration अगर हम इतनी वॉल्यूम कंसीडर कर रहे हैं तो यहाँ पे ज्यादा है. अगर हम सेम वॉल्यूम सॉइल की कंसीडर करें तो यहाँ पे मिनरल की कंसंट्रेशन कम होगी, है ना? तो ऑब्वियसली द मिनरल्स विल absorb actively only and for this they need the energy. Okay. एक्टिव अपटेक ऑफ आयन इज पार्टली रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द वाटर पोटेंशियल ग्रेडियंट। ठीक है, अब आयंस अंदर एब्जॉर्ब हो गए हैं तो वाटर पोटेंशियल ग्रेडियंट जनरेट हो गया है, यानी कि यहाँ पे तो हो गया हाई वाटर पोटेंशियल और रूट में हो गया लो वाटर पोटेंशियल। तो पानी जो है हाई वाटर पोटेंशियल से लो वाटर पोटेंशियल की तरफ मूव करेगा एंड इट विल मूव पैसिवली। फाइन, ions are absorbed passively as well as actively, as I said earlier, but mostly they are absorbed in the active form. Okay, active transport it is, which need ATP. Now, specific proteins in the membrane of root hair cells are there, which actively pump ions from the soil into the cytoplasm of the epidermal cell. तो कुछ प्रोटीन्स लगी हुई है रूट हेयर्स पे, ये रूट का हेयर है, तो यहाँ पे कुछ ऐसी प्रोटीन्स लगी हुई है जो एक्टिवली आयंस को अंदर pass on कर रही है. Okay, and from here it reaches to the cytoplasm. Fine. Now you know when you take the section of the root, if you take the transverse section of the root like this, what you will see? Outer layer is the epidermis. Then there are cortex, cortical cells are there. Then there is an endodermis layer. Now this layer is very important. It contains suberin. This is the layer which actually checks. यहाँ पे checking होती है that which quantity, how much quantity the mineral will enter, कितनी quantity में mineral अंदर जाना चाहिए और which type of mineral will enter. So this is the control point. Okay, remember this, that the endodermal cells are actually the control point. They will control that which type of mineral will enter or how much quantity of mineral will enter into the xylem. So note this, this is very important. Quantity and type of solute that reach the xylem will be checked by the endodermis. Okay. Now after the ions have reached the xylem, xylem तक ions पहुंच गए हैं, actively और passively, कैसे भी है ना, और a combination of two, दोनों के combination से भी, they further transport up the stem to all parts of the plant is through the transpiration stream. So root में आ गए हैं mineral, xylem में आ गए हैं. Now how they will reach up to the plant? That is through the transpiration stream. Okay, transpiration pull हो रहा है जिसकी वजह से एक stream बन रही है and due to which the minerals and the water is we can say reach to each and every part of the plant. Now the chief sink of the mineral element are the growing region. भाई मिनरल की जरूरत किसको है? जो सिंक एरिया है वो कौन सा है जहाँ पे ये पहुंचेंगे? Actually the area which is actually growing, जो grow हो रहा है, जो already grow हो चुका है, that will not need the minerals. So we can say the apical and the lateral meristem, they need this because here the cells are dividing very fast rate. Young leaves need this, developing flower, fruit and seeds and the storage organs. जैसे किसी प्लांट में रूट एब्जॉर्ब करती है फूड, किसी में स्टेम एब्जॉर्ब कर रही है, किसी में लीफ एब्जॉर्ब कर रही है, तो दैट स्टोरेज ऑर्गन विल नीड द मिनरल्स. सो हियर अनलोडिंग ऑफ द मिनरल इज डन. ओके, अनलोडिंग ऑफ द मिनरल इज डन एट द फाइन वेन एंडिंग्स थ्रू डिफ्यूजन एंड द एक्टिव अपटेक. सो एट द फाइन वेन एंडिंग्स, जो वेन होती है लीव्स की, फाइन फाइन वेन्स. सो एट द फाइन वेन वी कैन से हियर this mineral is unloaded by diffusion or by active uptake. Now there are many minerals which are remobilized from the older leaf to the younger leaf. So suppose this is the plant and this is the old leaf and here I can say this is the young leaf. This is young and this is old. Now there are many minerals from this leaf. This is old leaf actually and it is going to die. So we are talking about the deciduous plant. So what will happen? The leaf will remobilize the mineral which are present in this. यहाँ पे जो mineral present हैं वो यहाँ से निकल के young leaf में पहुँच जाएंगे. And what are all those minerals? You have to remember NPK: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and one more, that is sulfur. So these minerals can be remobilized. The mineral which cannot be remobilized is your calcium. कैल्शियम इज एक्चुअली यूज्ड इन द स्ट्रक्चरल कंपोनेंट, मिडल लैमेला में बनाने में यूज होता है. तो भाई वो सेल वॉल में यूज हो रहा है, सेल वॉल बनाने में, तो इट कैन नॉट रिमूवलाइज्ड. ठीक है, वो रिमूवलाइज नहीं होगा. if you analyze the xylem exudates, ठीक है, आपको xylem के exudates निकाल के you have analyzed इसमें what is present. So what you will see that in this some of the nitrogen travel in the inorganic form, some, okay, much of the nitrogen is carried in the organic form. Fine. Similarly, we can say small amount of phosphorus and sulfur is carried in the organic form, but much is carried in the inorganic form. This is very important. From this one question, already in the previous year I have seen that it was there in your NEET exam. So please read this question carefully. इससे question बनता है. In addition, small amount of exchange of material does takes place between xylem and phloem. So what it is saying कि xylem और phloem के बीच में भी exchange होता है. There is small amount of exchange between the xylem and the phloem. Okay, so this is clear now. Hence, it is not that we can clearly make a distinction and say categorically that the xylem transport only inorganic nutrients. हम ये नहीं कह सकते. We cannot make a clear distinction that the xylem is actually transporting only and only inorganic nutrients and the phloem is transporting only and only organic materials. So this was traditionally it was believed. ये पहले मतलब belief था कि phloem जो है organic material transport करता है और xylem inorganic को, but it is not true. Fine, because xylem और phloem के बीच में exchange होता है. So this is very important paragraph. Now we will move on to the phloem transport. You know the phloem is transporting actually the food, है ना? That is from the source side. Source is we can say from where the food is synthesized, and that is the leaf. कहाँ food बनता है generally? Leaf में. From the source side, the food will move to the sink area, जहाँ पे इस food को store होना है, जरूरत है जहाँ पे, that is sink, and we can say it is generally a root. Okay. Now this sink and the source can be exchanged also according to the this environment, or we can say the weather. Okay. So source और sink की जो relationship है it is variable. ठीक है. तो कभी क्या होता है, अगर लीफ को रिक्वायरमेंट है या कोई न्यू फ्लावर है, फ्लावर बड है, उसको रिक्वायरमेंट है, तो जो फूड जो यहाँ पे एब्जॉर्ब है, दिस विल फ्रॉम द सिंक इट विल मूव टू द एरिया वेयर इट इज नीडेड. सो नाउ दिस विल बिकम द सोर्स एंड दिस फ्लावर बड विल बिकम द सिंक. तो सिंक और सोर्स को क्या है, वेरी हो सकता है. ओके, लेट्स रीड नाउ. सो फूड प्राइमरली सुक्रोज, दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट कि जो सुक्रोज है दैट इज ट्रांसपोर्टेड. फूड बनता है ग्लूकोज के फॉर्म में, बट सुक्रोज के फॉर्म में वो सुक्रोज इज अ डाइसैकेराइड, ग्लूकोज मिलकर सुक्रोज बनाते हैं. तो फूड इज एक्चुअली ट्रांसपोर्टेड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ सुक्रोज थ्रू द टिश्यू फ्लोएम फ्रॉम सोर्स टू सिंक. The source is understood to be that part of the plant which synthesizes the food. Source is that part which is actually synthesizing the food, that is the leaf. And sink is the part that needs to store the food. But source and sink may be reversed depending on the season. So according to the season it can be reversed. Source sink भी बन सकता है और sink source भी बन सकता है. Sugar stored in the root may be mobilized to become a source of food in the early spring when the buds of the tree act as a sink. तो क्या कह रहा है कि अर्ली स्प्रिंग में क्या है, जब बर्ड निकल रही है तो वहां पे रिक्वायरमेंट है फूड की, तो फ्रॉम द सिंक वेयर द फूड इज स्टोर्ड इट विल नाउ मूव टू दैट बर्ड फॉर्मेशन, लीफ फॉर्मेशन. ओके, नई नई जो लीफ बन रही है वहां पे पहुंच जाते हैं. तो वी कैन से दैट द फ्लोएम का जो ट्रांसपोर्ट है दैट इज बाई डायरेक्शनल, और इट कैन वी कैन से मल्टी डायरेक्शनल. ओके, ऊपर से नीचे भी आ रहा है, नीचे से ऊपर भी जा रहा है, तो वी कैन से इट इज बाई डायरेक्शनल, मल्टी डायरेक्शनल. बट द जाइलम flow is only always unidirectional. ठीक है. Another question which is very important is phloem sap. What does phloem sap contains? It actually contains water and sucrose. Okay, this is the main thing which it contains. Beside this, sugar, hormones, amino acid are also transported through phloem. Okay, so not only water and sucrose, sugar and hormones or amino acids are also transported through the phloem. Now, how this sugar is translocated, that we have seen through the phloem. But what is actually the mechanism? The mechanism is the pressure flow. This mechanism is also known as Munch mechanism or Munch hypothesis. Okay, because it was given by Munch. ठीक है, तो शुगर जो है, जो बेसिकली हमने देखा कि सुक्रोज के फॉर्म में ट्रांसलोकेट हो रही है, राइट? तो वो कैसे ट्रांसलोकेट हो रही है? व्हाट इज द मैकेनिज्म व्हिच इज हेल्पिंग इन दिस केस? तो आई सेड द मैकेनिज्म इज प्रेशर. Okay, that is the pressure flow. So due to the pressure, the sucrose is translocated to the sink area. So that I will show you with simple image. We will see. Okay, here only I will show you. So suppose this is your plant. This is the leaf. Okay, this is your phloem. Phloem, you know, there is a companion cell, and this is sieve tube. Fine. And these all are the spongy parenchyma or your palisade parenchyma cells are in the leaf, which is going to manufacture the food. यहाँ पे food बन रहा है, ठीक है? Now from here, यहाँ पे ये जो food बन रहा है, that is glucose, अब वो डाइसेक्टेड के फॉर्म में कहाँ जाएगा? कंपेनियन सेल में, ठीक है? यहाँ भी है ये सेल्स. The food will enter into the companion cell, and from the companion cell, the food will enter into the sieve tubes. यहाँ पे food आ गया, and this food is actively absorbed. Okay, ये actively absorb हुआ है यहाँ पे. Now in the sieve tube there are sieve plates. यहाँ पे क्या है? बीच में क्या है? sieve plates लगी हुई हैं. जिसमें पोर्स होते हैं. तो एक साइटोप्लाज्मिक स्ट्रीमिंग की हेल्प से सुक्रोज क्या हो रहा है? इसके अंदर मूव कर रहा है. तो ये जो सुक्रोज है, which is actively absorbed from the companion cell into the sieve tube cells. तो sieve tube में ये आ गया एक्टिवली, ठीक है? अब ये सुक्रोज की कंसंट्रेशन यहाँ पे ज्यादा हो गई. इन द sieve tube सुक्रोज कंसंट्रेशन इज मोर. तो यहाँ पे जाइलम है. जब सुक्रोज की कंसंट्रेशन ज्यादा हो गई तो वाटर पोटेंशियल क्या होगा? कम हो जाएगा. सॉल्यूट ज्यादा होता है तो वाटर पोटेंशियल कम हो जाता है. तो फ्रॉम द जाइलम द वाटर विल एंटर इनटू द sieve tube. यहां से वाटर sieve tube में एंटर कर जाए. फ्रॉम द जाइलम वाटर एंटर इनटू द sieve tube, ड्यू टू व्हिच ऑस्मोटिक प्रेशर इंक्रीजेस ओवर हियर. व्हाट विल हैपन? ऑस्मोटिक pressure increases. And at the sink area, suppose this is the root, which is the sink area, here the pressure is low. So due to from the high pressure to the low pressure, the food will move. Okay. So from the sieve tubes, the food will enter into the root area, and from the root area, here suppose these are the root cells. The food, the sucrose, is actually move into the root cell. यहाँ से ये रूट सेल में चला गया. जब रूट सेल में सुक्रोज मूव कर गया तो यहाँ पे सॉल्यूट जब मूव करेगा तो वाटर पोटेंशियल इंक्रीज हो जाएगा. जब वाटर पोटेंशियल इंक्रीज होगा तो वाटर विल मूव फ्रॉम द sieve tube टू द जाइलम. तो वाटर आपने देखा यहाँ पे तो ये sieve tube में एंटर किया था, और एट द सिंक एरिया इट विल एंटर अगेन इनटू द जाइलम ओनली. ओके, क्योंकि सुक्रोज इज एब्सॉर्ब बाय द रूट सेल. फाइन. यहाँ पे जो मूवमेंट हो रहा है इन द sieve tube, दैट इज द पैसिव मूवमेंट. इज दैट क्लियर? So this is what we call pressure flow mass flow hypothesis, which is given by Munch. So due to the osmotic pressure which is built up in the sieve tube, due to that pressure, the food will move to the sink area. From the source, the food will move to the sink area. Fine. So what has happened, again I am repeating, that the cells of the leaf is manufacturing the food in the form of glucose. That glucose will form what? Sucrose. Disaccharides बन जाएगा. Sucrose is a disaccharide. Sucrose will enter into the companion cell. Companion cell से food enter कर दिया sieve tube में. That is active absorption. Companion cell में आना, companion cell से sieve tube में आना, ये सब actively हो रहा है. From the sieve tube, the food, when we know that in the sieve tube sucrose concentration increases, the water will enter from the xylem to the sieve tube. अब यहाँ पे प्रेशर बन गया है, सुक्रोज भी है, पानी भी है, प्रेशर इज मोर, osmotic pressure is more. From the high pressure, the food will move to the low pressure area. Okay, that is the sink side. So if we have taken the root as a sink, so from the sieve tube the food is moving and it will reach to the root. Root will absorb the sucrose, and what will happen? जब solute absorb हो गया, sucrose absorb हो गया, तो water potential will increase. Water potential जब increase होगा तो water will move to the xylem again. Simple. So this is the pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis. Now there is a simple experiment called the girdling experiment. This is the experiment which is actually used to identify that which tissue is transporting the food. We know that phloem transport, but let us we can say let us prove it. Okay. So suppose this is your tree and outer side is your, this is your phloem. Phloem के अंदर आपका हो गया xylem. This is your xylem. So we are going to remove the phloem. हमने phloem को हटा दिया, काट दिया इतना, है ना, ये हमने पोर्शन इतना काट दिया, ये वाला ये हमने काट दिया है, ठीक है, फाइन. नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन, जो फूड ट्रांसपोर्ट हो रहा है phloem के थ्रू, यहाँ पे फूड जो है स्टोर हो जाएगा, क्योंकि इट विल नॉट मूव टुवर्ड्स द डाउन साइड, नीचे नहीं जा पा रहा है क्योंकि वहां पे हमने फ्लोएम को काट दिया है. ओके, हमने वो बार को काट दिया है, तो डाउनवर्ड मूवमेंट विल स्टॉप नाउ. तो फूड यहाँ पे क्या होगा, स्टोर हो जाएगा. फाइन, लेट्स रीड नाउ. A simple experiment that is known as girdling was used to identify the tissues through which food is transported. On the trunk of a tree, a ring of bark up to the depth of phloem layer can be carefully removed. तो हमने जो है phloem तक हमने उसको bark को हटा दिया है. In the absence of the downward movement of food, the portion of the bark above the ring on the stem becomes swollen. तो यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो ये portion swell हो गया है. Okay, this is the portion which swell up. This simple experiment shows that phloem is the tissue responsible for the translocation of food. तो इस सिंपल एक्सपेरिमेंट से हमें पता चल रहा है that phloem is actually helping in the transport of food. Okay. Now let's see some of the important questions. Read the given statement and select the correct option. Xylem transport is unidirectional. That is true. Xylem का जो transport है that is only upward. Phloem transport is bidirectional. So phloem का transport can be downward, can be upward. As I said, source and sink can be variable. So both the statement are true, but statement 2 is not explaining the first statement. Okay. So let's read the statement. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation. No. Both the statement 1 and 2 are correct. Statement 2 is not the correct explanation. So this will be your answer. दोनों स्टेटमेंट सही हैं. Unidirectional flow of water, minerals, some organic nitrogen and hormones occurs through. Unidirectional flow जहां भी आता है, you will definitely go with the xylem. The manufactured food in a green plant moves from the leaves to the other parts through. So food which is manufactured in the leaf is actually translocated through the phloem. Multidirectional flow of a variety of organic and inorganic solute occurs through. Multidirectional or bidirectional flow is your phloem flow. Phloem sac is mainly made up of, this we have seen, water and sucrose. So mainly it is made up of water and sucrose. Besides this, there are hormones, amino acids are also there. A girdle plant may survive for some time, but it will eventually die. जो हमने देखा गर्डलिंग एक्सपेरिमेंट किया, हमने फ्लोएम हटा दिया बीच में से, तो फूड जो नीचे आ रहा है वो फ्लोएम नहीं है बीच में, तो वो नीचे नहीं जाएगा. इट विल नॉट मूव डाउनवर्ड, रूट तक वो नहीं पहुंचेगा. ओके, तो व्हाट विल हैपन? द वाटर विल नॉट मूव डाउनवर्ड. नो, वाटर तो है ही नहीं, वाटर का तो आंसर होगा ही नहीं ऑप्शन में. शुगर एंड अदर ऑर्गेनिक मटेरियल विल नॉट मूव डाउनवर्ड. तो दिस इज योर आंसर कि शुगर और अदर ऑर्गेनिक मटेरियल नीचे नहीं जा पाएंगे. तो क्या होगा अल्टीमेटली? रूट विल डाई. Root will die, then shoot will die. Fine. So this is all for today. Thank you for watching my lecture. Please subscribe this channel and hit the bell icon so you will get the updates. Please like this video as well. Thank you.